الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أفضل الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا وفقها في الدين يا رب العالمين وألحقنا بعبادك الصالحين. أما بعد، يقول الله عز وجل: إنا نحن نزلنا الذكر وإنا له لحافظون. After praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sending the best of salutations upon Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, inshallah we begin with a new series. Inshallah, this is going to continue every single Thursdays. This is going to be an amazing, fascinating series. Inshallah, those brothers that can participate, please try your best to participate. Okay? The amount of research, the amount of time, the amount of effort that's going to go into this, inshallah will be in my Mizan al-Hasanat, and all those who listen, inshallah, in their Mizan al-Hasanat as well on the day of Qiyamah. This is an amazing opportunity which the mosque has provided us, mashallah, to give these talks. Okay, generally it's very difficult to find talks like these, especially of this level of research. Okay, what's the main theme? The main theme here, inshallah, from today and the coming Thursdays will be on Islamic history. What Islamic history? Which part of Islamic history? The Islamic history which is regarding the sciences. So how Quran was revealed. Who are the main companions that were the transmitters of the Quran? This is absolute. This level of amazing research, mashallah. Many, mashallah, many books have been written on these things. And inshallah, we'll be going through the history and biographies of these great Sahabas who compiled the Quran, who put the Quran together, who were the main Sahabas. We'll go through each and individual Sahaba, inshallah. Thereafter, we'll go through some of ulumul Quran, the sciences of what is found within the Quran. So inside the Quran, there's many different, for you to understand the verse, there's many things that you need to understand the verse, so you don't take the verse out of context. Many people, unfortunately, nowadays, the trend is that many verses are quoted in certain circumstances which are completely twisted in different ways. So how do we detect this verse is not applicable in certain things? Reasons of revelation, Makki, Madani, all those things, inshallah, we'll go through a brief history on that as well, Ulumul Quran. Then, inshallah, we'll go through Hadith, how Hadith was compiled, all the great giants of Sahaba first, then the Tabi'een. And this is again going to be in such detail, inshallah. You probably won't find this in paid courses, okay? That's the simple way to put it, inshallah. Inshallah, if Allah gives us the tawfiq. The great giants of Hadith later on, after that, the Sahaba, the Tabi'een, the Atba'u Tabi'een, the earliest books that are preserved and printed today that we find within our hands. Those, inshallah, we're going to be discussing some of that stuff. Then we're going to go into the Hadith masters and what they've written, and each and every single book, and their specialities, and the reason why each book has their ups and downs. Okay. Later on, inshallah, we'll go through Fiqh. Fiqh, of course, is very connected with Hadith, but we'll go through the founders of Fiqh, those who were the great masters of Fiqh within the early stages, within the Sahaba's time as well as the Tabi'in's time, and then thereafter, coming down throughout history within the four madhabs, inshallah. Later on, we're going to go through the founders of Aqidah. Who were the writers of Aqidah, firstly? Who wrote on Aqidah? Who's the first person that wrote on Aqidah? Okay? And thereafter, how else was it transmitted throughout the centuries of Islam? So inshallah, I hope this becomes a great blessing for everyone. And I hope, inshallah, everyone benefits. And inshallah, through this, our iman becomes strengthened. Through this, our iman becomes strengthened, because we know the links through whom the Quran came, through whom the Hadith came, through whom the Fiqh came, through whom the Aqidah came. If we don't know the links, we'll never understand, Unfortunately, even in our Madaris system, Darul Ulooms, this is not covered. Okay, this is not covered, and therefore we have a massive lack, even within our scholarship, in this field, because there's not much research involved in this, unfortunately, and it's not being taught as well. So, inshallah, this is a unique series, and I hope, inshallah, everyone benefits as much as they can. Today, to start off, I wanted to start off on a light note. So, I wanted to start off on virtues of the Quran. Okay, virtues of the Quran before we go delve into the depth, inshallah, of ulum al-Quran and its sciences. So, I'm going to begin with, inshallah, with this book. And every single time I come, inshallah, every week, hopefully, whichever books that I present to you, I'm going to give you a slight history, because this is extremely important. Whom you take your knowledge is extremely important. Al-Isnadu min Ibn Sirin, one of the great tabi'een, he says, Al-Isnadu min ad-din. In another narration, Al-Ilmu min ad-din. Anzuru amman ta'khuduna dinakum. This knowledge is your religion. This knowledge of Islam, of deen, of fiqh, of hadith, of tafsir, of everything, is from religion. Therefore, be careful. Be careful whom you take your religion from. There's all sorts of people nowadays, we know, all sorts of fitna, unfortunately. Be careful. Ibn Sirin, one of the greatest tabi'een who met hundreds of Sahaba, okay, he's saying this. So this ilm, make sure you are careful whom you take your religion from. Therefore, inshallah, it is extremely important that we introduce you to these authors. Okay? Whomsoever, whichever book that I come with, inshallah, I'll introduce a slight introduction to each and every single book, inshallah, with each and every single research and their authors. So this book is by Hafiz al-Mundhiri. Hafiz, come on. Mundi. Tajweed. Before we even go inside. Mundhiri, yeah? He was one of the great... Well, who's a Hafiz first? Who's a Hafiz? Hafiz Sab? Yeah? No. So when the ulama refer to Hafiz, they refer to someone who's memorized 100,000, not 100, 100,000, 100,000 ahadith, word for word, letter for letter, with the full chain of narration going up to Rasulullah. Subhanallah, this religion was preserved by such men. Their level of precision in deen was so strict, unlike any religion in the world. They had such powerful memories, they could memorize over hundreds of thousands of hadith with the isnad. And if you made a single mistake, literally a single tiny mistake, it's like a Hafiz Sahib. Imagine he reads, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِينَ يُكَذِّبُ بِالدِّينِ. What's going to happen? Everyone's going to pounce at him. رَأَيْتَ الَّذِي. Isn't it? This is a Hafiz of hadith. In hadith, the same thing. The muhaddithin were so strict. Each and every single mistake, they'll catch you on. Your memory flips slightly a bit, they'll catch you. Okay? So, a Hafiz of hadith, when we narrate and when we talk about Al-Hafiz, like Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, one of the greatest ulama of hadith and its resources, we mean someone who's memorized a minimum of 100,000 hadith with the chains of narration. It's absolute encyclopedias. So this is called Al-Hafiz. When you say Al-Hafiz. So he was one of the most well-known scholars of the century at his time. And he was the foremost scholars within that sixth century. He lived just before the time of Imam Nawawi. Everyone knows Imam Nawawi? Author of Riyadh al-Salihin, author of Sharh Muslim, author of Adhkar, author of many books, mashallah. Absolutely maqbool. Hafiz al-Mundhiri, similar. He done something similar to Riyadh al-Salihin, but way more comprehensive, mashallah. Not only his memory, but his research as well was absolutely phenomenal. What he done, the book's name, if you can see, At-Targhib wa Tarhib. Targhib means encouragement, giving encouragement, inspiring, motivational things. Tarhib, to put fear. to put fear. This is where irhabi comes, irhabi, terrorist. But to put fear in what? The ahadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling us that you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. That's what it means. So encouragement towards good deeds, fadailul a'mal, encouragement towards good deeds, and to abstain from evils. So what are goods and evils? We'll never understand until and unless Rasulullah tells us. That's the only possibility, isn't it? Because wahi is what we have to follow when it comes to these things. So Hafidh al-Mundhiri, he was one of the greatest scholars of hadith within his century, within the 6th century of Islam. So this is approximately 800 years ago now. Okay, this is approximately 800 years ago. This book was written as a request from the students. Some of his students, great students, mashallah. I mean, you can understand what type of teacher he was, and you can understand what level of students he had. Okay, so his students requested him that a comprehensive book be written on this topic of Fadailul A'mal and of Targhib. So he went through all the hadith literature, more or less, all the hadith books that are available within his time, and he tried to gather all the hadith to do with inspiration and all the hadith to do with abstaining from sins, abstaining from evils. So at the end, he came up with a massive, huge compilation of hadith, approximately 4,000 to 5,000 hadith, quite a large amount of hadith, but it's one of the most comprehensive books on the topic. Okay, it's one of the most organized and comprehensive books on the topic. He was born in Sham. Sham. What is Sham? Generally, what is Sham? Anyone? Syria. Yeah. Generally, that's what we think when it's Sham. Syria. Palestine is also Sham. Palestine, parts of Jordan, parts of Lebanon as well. Okay. So he was from Palestine. He was from Bayt al-Maqdis, next to Masjid al-Aqsa. Then he went to Egypt. He settled in Egypt and he taught in Egypt for many years. They say there was no one similar to him within his time in understanding the sihha of the hadith, the authenticity of the hadiths, and the weaknesses of the hadiths. He was an absolute master in this field. Okay, not only just he memorized, but he also was one of the most greatest scholars within ulumul hadith, the science of hadith, and how to judge hadith, how to judge the isnad, how to judge the matan. He heard from one of the greatest scholars, you might have heard this, Ibn Qudama al-Maqdisi al-Hanbali. Ibn Qudama, one of the greatest personalities within the Hanbali madhab, hands down. You know, one of the greatest personalities of the Hanbali madhab. Okay, so he studied under Ibn Qudama al-Maqdisi, and from his great students is Ibn Daqiq al-Eid. I don't know if you heard of this name, but this is one of the greatest jurists within the, just after the 6th century, Islamic 6th century. Ibn Daqiq al-Eid, he was one of the Shafi'i jurists. And then you had Ibn Khalliqan. I don't know if you heard this. This is completely to do with history. Yeah? Now, Ibn Khalliqan was one of the greatest historians. You can go today, even if you go on Wikipedia, fine, just go and find out some few facts about Ibn Khalliqan, inshallah. And Hafidh al-Dimyati. Dimyati, Sharafuddin al-Dimyati was one of the greatest scholars as well. He wrote on a similar topic like this. But what did he restrict it to? He restricted it to just good deeds, virtues of just good deeds. Okay, he's got a book that's also translated. Maulana Muhammad Muhammadi, he translated it, I think, from South Africa. MashaAllah, very good translation. The original book, it's called Mat Jarur Rabih. Okay, Mat Jarur Rabih. Rewards for good deeds. It's translated. You can see the book, inshallah, online. Hafidh al-Dimyati, one of the greatest, again, another great scholar of, and he was his student. Okay, so this book is greater. The other book comes in handy as well. Okay, on this topic, on the topic of Targhib and Targhib. Initially, in the introduction, I'm not going to go into the full introduction. Initially, in the introduction, he says, whenever I say a hadith with the words an, it shows that it's acceptable, sahih or hasan. Okay, whenever I say a hadith beginning with an, it means sahih or hasan, sound, acceptable, authentic. Whenever I mention ruwiya, the words ruwiya means it was narrated. So when you say he said, qala Rasulullah, when you say he said, it's definitive, definite. Okay, no doubt, certain. This is only you can say for Sahih and Hasan Hadith. Then when he mentions Ruwiya, it was narrated. You see the difference? He said, and it was narrated from Rasulullah. You see the big difference? That's the difference. So it was narrated. We don't attribute it directly to Rasulullah because we're not 100% sure. Because with these things, you have to be 1,000,000% sure before you narrate a hadith. Because Rasulullah says, "Man kadhaba alayya muta'ammidan falyatabawwa maq'adahu min an-nar." Whoever lies upon me. This is why many of the Sahaba didn't narrate hadith. Abu Hurairah got pulled down from the mimbar, from his position, to narrate hadith to the Sahaba by Umar radiallahu anhu. You're narrating too much. You're narrating too many hadith. Where did you find all of this? You only sat with Rasulullah for 3 years. We sat with Rasulullah for many, many years. Nearly over 20 years. Where are you getting all of this hadith? Little did they understand that Rasulullah made special du'as for Abu Hurairah. Subhanallah. And also he says in a hadith, so ruwiya is one indication that it's da'if. But understand one thing, that da'if is accepted by the majority of the scholars when it comes to this topic. Okay, when it comes to the topic of targhib and tarhib, da'if hadith is accepted hands down by all the ulama, including Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, one of the greatest muhaddith of the world, yeah, including Ibn Taymiyyah, including Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah, and including all the other ulama that came afterwards, of the great scholars of Islam throughout all the centuries. So this is something agreed upon, that on this topic, da'if hadith is definitely accepted. Okay, so what's the reasons? One reason is ruwiya, it was narrated, and the other reason is when he doesn't make any speech, when he doesn't talk about the hadith at all. He just leaves the hadith. He doesn't say his hadith sahih, or he doesn't say his narrators are reliable. He doesn't talk. He just leaves the hadith as it is. That's another sign that it has some type of weakness. Now, of course, weakness, what do we understand from weakness? Unfortunately, within the English language, we'll never be able to understand it truly, because it's a terminology by the hadith scholars. So there's different types of weaknesses. There's over 100 types of weaknesses, according to Imam Shawkani and many others. Imam in Tadrib al-Rawi as well. Many different categories of da'if. Why a hadith can become slightly da'if. And if it's slightly da'if, it's an amana. End of the day, it's an amana. It's one of the greatest amana. Just like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the first ayah that I recited, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikra wa inna lahu lahafidhun. Verily this, we revealed upon you this dhikr, this Quran. And surely we will preserve it, we will protect it, we will safeguard it. Now, what does that mean? Not just the Quran. All the ulama are in agreement, all the mufassirin are in agreement that the hadith has to be preserved in order for the meanings of the Quran doesn't get twisted. You got that? Hadith, in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says dhikr, very aam word. It's a very general word. Okay? The Quran and the hadith has to be preserved. And in another verse, لِتُبَيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ. We'll go into those inshallah in our Ulumul Quran session. That we reveal to you this book in order to explain to the people. So without hadith, it's impossible for you to understand the Quran. Impossible, absolutely impossible. How many rakats of salah is inside the Quran? How many, come on. How many rakats of Isha salah? Yeah? Fajr salah, you can find inside the Quran how many rakats? Which one is rukun of? Which one is rukun and which one is wajib and which one is sunnah? You can find in Quran. Impossible. And without the scholars' understanding, without the ulama's understanding, the Quran and Hadith, according to the understanding of who? Someone of the 21st century. Yeah? This sheikh and that sheikh. Sheikh Jamil came to Baitul Aman Masjid. No. Astaghfirullah. According to the understanding of the Salaf. Who's the Salaf? The 4 Imams. Okay? Otherwise, you're going to be following your sheikh. If you don't follow the 4 Imams, who are you going to follow? Your sheikh. Your sheikh gave the fatwa. Google gave the fatwa. Mufti Google. We say, Sister Shamila and Mufti Google. Or ulama. Unfortunately, we live in a time, Right. But the point is that you have to understand the Quran and Hadith according to the understanding of the once one understood it well. Who are they? The Salafus Salihin, Sahaba, Tabi'in, Atba'u Tabi'in. Okay? And those who came after, explaining, expanding, and adding, explaining each scenario, because the Quran, of course, has to be applicable to the whole world, the whole universe, in every single aspect of our lives. Quran is not restricted to Salah. Quran is not restricted to Tahajjud. You just pray Salah and Qiyamul Layl and that's it. No. In your dealings. That's the main thing. In your dealings. That's when Quran comes out. That's when Hadith comes out. Your dealings, your business, your money, your everything that you do. Everything. Your akhlaq, your aqidah, all of this comes in. Inshallah, that was a long introduction. Didn't think I was going to talk for this long. But inshallah, we'll go through the hadiths on the virtues of the Quran in this chapter. The virtues of the Quran. So the first hadith, eventually, inshallah, at the end, I'm going to give you a roundup of all the hadith that we go through in a slight, in just one line. Okay? In one line, inshallah. So the first hadith we have on the authority of Uthman radiallahu anhu. Uthman bin Affan, the third Khalif of Islam. Okay? Who is Uthman bin Affan? Anyone? Other than him being the third Khalif, of course. Any virtues that you know of Uthman bin Affan? He was one of those Sahabas that read the whole Quran in one rak'ah salah. Whole Quran, beginning to end. One rak'ah. This is recorded. He was well known as well for this. Many ulama done it. Imam Abu Hanifa done it. This? Well known. So on the authority of Uthman radiallahu anhu, عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه رواه البخاري ومسلم وأبو داود والترمذي والنسائي وابن ماجه وغيره. This hadith is narrated in all 6 books, all the main mother 6 books of hadith. The best of you. Rasulullah says khair. Khair is the best of the best. The best of the best is the one who learns the Quran and teaches it. Whether it's tajweed, whether it's just the mere recitation, whether it's teaching his class, whether it's teaching children, whether it's teaching your brothers, whether it's teaching your own children, whether it's teaching anyone. خيركم من تعلم القرآن وعلمه. And the person who teaches it. If you just sit down with it, it's like a perfume inside its bottle. You're not using it. You need to use it, isn't it? So, the meanings play a massive role as well. And this is where the ulama's roles come in. Okay? Because not anyone has the authority to lecture upon the verses of the Quran and tafsir of the Quran. You have to go according to the understanding of the classical scholars. So, this will include all the huffaz al-Quran, all the people that teach the Quran, all the people that lead Taraweeh, all the people that are affiliated with the Quran in any way or form, teaching tajweed, teaching the meanings of the Quran, tafsir, all those, and ulum al-Quran, inshallah, that we are going to be going through as well, inshallah. The next hadith we have on the authority of Abdullah bin Mas'ud, radiyallahu anhu. When in hadith we say Abdullah just in general, well, who does it refer to? Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu. Ibn Mas'ud. When you say just Abdullah, it refers to Ibn Mas'ud. It doesn't refer to Abbas or Ibn Umar or other Sahaba. It refers directly to Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من قرأ حرفا من كتاب الله فله به حسنة والحسنة بعشر أمثالها لا أقول ألف لام ميم حرف ولكن ألف حرف ولام حرف وميم حرف رواه الترمذي وقال حديث حسن صحيح. We've all heard of this hadith, okay? We've all heard of this hadith. Whoever recites one letter of the Quran gets 10 rewards. Yeah? I don't say that alif lam mim is one harf. But alif is one harf, lam is one harf, and mim is one harf. Now, there's one question. Many people think that you need to understand the Quran, brother. Okay? Does alif lam mim have any meaning? No meaning. According to everyone, isn't it? According to all the Mufassir, there's no meanings to that. Allah knows the meaning. So, when Alif Lam Mim has no meaning and Rasulullah is explaining it with those same letters, any person who recites the Quran without meaning gets 10 reward as a bare minimum. Is that understood? That's the beauty of understanding Hadith. But you won't understand it if you read the translation. I only gave it to you this way because that's why you understood it this way. Okay? When you recite the Quran, just mere recitation, you don't need to understand it. You don't need to go into the delve into the tafsir and the translation and everything. No. Just mere recitation, each letter gets you 10 reward. Alif, Lam, Mim. No meaning. No meaning. It doesn't exist. So, each and every single letter, even without meaning, this is the bare minimum. With meaning, with understanding, with tafsir, more multiplications. More multiplications. Inshallah. Move on to the next hadith. On the authority of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: ما اجتمع قوم في بيت من بيوت الله يتلون كتاب الله ويتدارسونه فيما بينهم إلا نزلت عليهم السكينة وغشيتهم الرحمة وحفتهم الملائكة وذكرهم الله في من عند رواه مسلم وأبو داود. There is no gathering like this. Okay, and I get your attention. So there is no gathering like this. Of what? From the house of the houses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the masjid. Which is the masjid. You are selected. Remember, understand that you're selected. Each and every single one of us selected to come and sit here after Maghrib and to give time. Understanding what our religion is. What's the history of our religion? Yatluna kitab Allah. They recite the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the first thing. Then, وَيَتَدَارَسُونَهُ. They try to understand it amongst themselves. Try to understand what is inside the Quran. Except nazalat alayhimul sakina. Tranquility descends upon these people. Peace, serenity. The heart comes at peace. Why? You're increasing your iman. You're increasing your iman. وَغَشِيَتْهُمُ الرَّحْمَةِ. Rahmah is completely surrounded upon them. Rahmah comes down on everyone. وَحَفَّتْهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةِ. And all the angels are within these gatherings. All the angels, they flock upon these gatherings. وَذَكَرَهُمُ اللَّهُ فِي مَنْ عِنْدَهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions these sorts of gatherings amongst the malaika, amongst the angels. Amongst the angels of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imagine what level a student of knowledge has. What level a student of knowledge has. This is again Sahih Riwayah in Muslim and Abu Dawud. Next hadith. I'll give you the crux of it inshallah. Okay? عن عقبة بن عامر رضي الله عنه قال خرج علينا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ونحن في صفة فقال أيكم يحب أن يغدو كل يوم في بطحان أو إلى العقيق فيأتي منه بناقتين ماوين بغير إثم ولا قطيعة رحم. So this is talking about distances. Which of you, Rasulullah asks the Sahaba, which of you wants to go out in the morning or in the afternoon or in the evening, go to a far place and go and get something special? What's this special thing? At those times, what they understood of something really expensive was a camel. A camel which had a massive hump. Big hump was a sign of the camel being really healthy. And it's really expensive. Those camels are really expensive. Even to this day. Okay? Our understanding, what do we do? Do we ride camels? What do we ride? Huh? It's the most expensive cars. Come on. Lamborghini, Ferrari, Bugatti. You want a Bugatti? That's exactly what Rasulullah is saying. No joke. This is how, in their times, that was relevant to them. Our understanding, what's the most expensive car? You want a Bugatti? You want a Ferrari? You want a Lamborghini? Come. Those Sahaba, and not just anyhow, Rasulullah makes it very clear, without any sin. You achieve that without any sin. You buy that without any sin. You get that without any sin. Okay? Without displeasing anyone, without stealing, without any of that sort. says, for you to learn one verse of the Quran is better than one camel with a massive hump. One verse of the Quran is better than a whole Lamborghini. Learning 2 verses is better than 2. Learning 3 verses is better than 3. Learning 4 verses is better than 4 Bugattis. Imagine. Just imagine. We haven't understood Quran and Hadith. Unfortunately, our minds haven't understood Quran and Hadith. Learning 1 verse of the Quran, 2 verses of the Quran, and he goes up to 4. Rasulullah goes up to 4. Okay? And then he says, as many verses as you read. Subhanallah. Reading and memorization and understanding must come into our lives. And then he carries on with the hadith at the end of the hadith. Very similar wordings of what I've already told you. Next hadith is on the authority of Abu Hurairah again. من استمع إلى آية من كتاب الله كتبت له حسنة مضاعفة ومن تلاها كانت له نورا يوم القيامة. Whoever listens to the Quran, doesn't even need to read here. Whoever listens to the Quran attentively, istama'a, not sami'a, istama'a. Whoever listens attentively to the Quran. When the Quran is recited, what do? Listen attentively. Do nothing else. Okay? I'm not going to go into the masail here. Inshallah, in the future we'll go into the masail a bit. But when the Quran is being recited, make sure that you are not doing anything else. Okay? You give full attention to the Quran, or else stop. من استمع إلى آية من كتاب الله كتبت له حسنة مضاعفة. Multiplications of good rewards is written on that person's good deeds. And whoever recites it, or the one who recites Quran, it will come as a nur on the day of judgment. Just like, when a person makes wudu, all his Rasulullah was told on the day of judgment, how will you know your ummah? Rasulullah said, by the athar of the wudu. Why there? Because they constantly made wudu. The more wudu that you make, the more power that you have in your shine. Your face, your arms, your hands, your head. The power of that light will be such that Rasulullah will immediately know, this is my ummati. This is my follower. Next one. You want to make dua? What's the best dua? The one who involves himself in the Quran. Why? There's no better deed than the Quran. There's no better deed than the Quran. يقول الرب تبارك وتعالى من شغله القرآن عن مسألتي أعطيته أفضل ما أعطي السائلين وفضل كلام الله على سائر الكلام كفضل الله على خلقه. سبحان الله. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. The hadith? Come on. What type of hadith is it? When Rasulullah says, Allah says. Qudsi, hadith Qudsi. Yeah, remember this. Qudsi. These are special hadiths where Rasulullah says, Allah says. Okay? Hadith Qudsi. Whoever occupies himself with the Quran, whoever occupies himself, makes himself busy with the Quran, I will give him, Allah says, I will give him better than the ones that beg me, that ask me. Is that understood? We're weak to make du'as, isn't it? Dua is the weapon of a believer. Okay? The weapon of a believer is, remember, so many awliya of Allah, so many sahaba, so many tabi'een had dua that was mustajab, and sahabas knew, like Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, they knew that if he raised his hand, alas, the dua is coming down immediately on the spot, instantaneously, on the spot, that dua is accepted. And the words exist, awliya as well, many others, many others that existed throughout history. Then he ends off he gives this part. Then he ends off the hadith with fadlu kalamillah. You don't understand the superiority of the Quran. The superiority of the Quran is like the superiority of Allah compared to his creation. Imagine that. Is there any possible way of comparing Allah with his creation? Never. Never. Kalla. Never ever. Not possible. And this kalamullah, the words, the speech of Allah, the Quran, is just like Allah. It's from Allah. It's qadim. It doesn't have any beginning. It doesn't have any end. Subhanallah. Just like the superiority of Sahaba, just like the superiority, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His creation, you cannot compare, never compare. Likewise, the Quran can never be compared to any speech in the world at all. Next hadith, I'm going to give you the crux of it. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, radiyallahu anhu, one of the Yemeni Sahabas. He had a beautiful voice. All the Ash'ariyin, mashallah, had beautiful. Mizmaran min mazamiri Ali Dawood, Rasulullah used to say. They used to recite the Quran like flute. Like a rhythmic way, beautiful way. In a singing. We'll go through the hadith, inshallah, if we can. So, he narrates this hadith that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, I'm going to give you the crux, the meaning. Okay? That the believer is the believer who recites the Quran is like a citrus fruit, which is like an orange, sweet orange. It has a beautiful fragrance to it, like a perfume when you smell it. And when you eat it, it's so sweet and amazing, delicious, tasty. This is the example of the person who is a mu'min, a believer, and he recites the Quran. Example of the person who is a believer who doesn't recite the Quran is like the example of a date. Date, is there any smell to it? No smell. But if you eat it, sweet inside, isn't it? The other one was outside, smelling sweet, as well as inside, because he recites the Quran as well outside. Quran must come outside, isn't it, when we recite it? Likewise, the Quran, a person who retains the Quran but doesn't recite it is like a date. There's no smell to it because he's not reciting it. But inside, it's got pure good inside. And the example of a munafiq is given as a bitter tasting fruit inside, and outside it smells nice. It smells nice outside, but inside when you taste it, bite into it, sour, bitter. Why? Inside is najis. Inside is impure, filthy. And the munafiq, the hypocrite, which doesn't recite the Quran at all, his inside as well as the outside is disgusting. The outside smells bad, the inside is also bad. This is Rasulullah, this is for taqreeb, this is for us to understand. Rasulullah gave these simple examples to simple people for us to understand the value. The next hadith is very similar. The one after that, and Aisha radiyallahu anha, Aisha Ummul Mu'mineen, okay, the most beloved after Khadija. Nobody can beat Khadija. Khadija comes first. Al Khadija to Khadija, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say. No one. Rasulullah got tested even before Islam. Before Islam, she was with him. Years and years and years and years and years. All sorts of difficulty. How will you take the love of 25 years away? 25 years with one woman. How will you take that? Not possible. You understood? 25 years with one woman who's 15 years older. Anyone wants to poke at Rasulullah? Beat that first. Beat that. You want to do the sunnah properly. Subhanallah. Next one is for us. Those who find Quran difficult. Isn't it? Quran for Tamparianna Hosto. Mistake Malay. Isn't it? So difficult. Aisha radiallahu anha reports Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam saying, Al-Mahiru bil-Quran ma'a-safarat al-kiram al-barara. The one who's an expert, perfectionist, Mahir bil-Quran. His recitation is like the recitation, his level, his rank is like the noble angels, the high-ranking angels. And the one وَالَّذِي يَقْرَأُ الْقُرْآنَ وَيَتَتَعْتَعُ فِيهِ وَهُوَ عَلَيْهِ شَاقٌ لَهُ أَجْرَانِ. The one who recites the Quran and finds it extremely difficult. He's stuttering, he's finding it hard, he's after every single letter he has to think, if there's a mud, if there's a hunna, if there's a, if there is this, or if there is that. I'm making mistakes, shall I repeat it again and again? He's trying so hard. But he's trying and trying and trying. For him is ajran. Double reward. Double the reward. Not double the reward of the person who recites Qarisab, mashallah. Qarisab is Qarisab. He's in his place. Hafizab is Hafizab. Mashallah. He's on his status. But us, on our status, we are bicharas. Isn't it? Small individuals. When we make mistakes, isn't it? Z comes out. You have to say, again. Isn't it? So for us, inshallah, double the reward. Double. This is also riwayah of Bukhari and Muslim. Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, Nasa'i, Ibn Majah, all 6 books. Abu Dharr, next hadith we find by Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu. قلت يا رسول الله أوصني. Give me advice. أوصني, give me advice. قال عليك بتقوى الله فإنه رأس الأمر كله. I enjoin upon you. I give you the advice of be firm on taqwa. What is taqwa? Being conscious of Allah. Not just fear of Allah. It's like a child. A child fears their father but loves him at the same time. Isn't it? Fear is there, but the aspect of love is there at the same time. He knows a mu'min, a believer, is more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the Kaaba 70 times more. Each and every single believer. Each and every single believer is better than the Kaaba 70 times more. Imagine. So don't think Allah doesn't love me. Allah definitely loves me because I have Iman. Because I read La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Allah loves me. 100% loves me. Be sure. Be certain. There's no doubt in that. If Allah didn't love me, He will not bless me with Iman. Isn't it? Huh? Not possible. If Allah doesn't love you, can He give you Iman? There you go. The answer is for yourself. So, this is the head of all matters. This is the peak of all matters. Then Abu Dharr, who he is, he says, give me more. Give me, zidni ya Rasulallah. Give me more, ya Rasulallah, zidni. Qala alayka bi tilawati al-Quran. I enjoin upon you to recite the Quran. I enjoin upon you to recite the Quran. Innahu nurun laka fil ard. When you recite the Quran, what happens? Nur. A celestial light that you and me cannot see. Celestial light that you and me cannot see because our eyes are blind. Our eyes are blind to the real spirituality, to the unseen. Light, what happens with the light? Light shines from yourself up to the skies. Nurun laka fil ard. You start glowing. The angels start knowing this person is reciting Quran. Akhtar Bhai reciting Quran. Muhammad reciting Quran. Zaid reciting Quran. Therefore he's glowing. Starts shining up like the moon. The more you recite, the more glow that you have on earth. On earth. This is not Qiyamah. Qiyamah, inshallah, will glow up again. وَذُخْرٌ لَكَ فِي السَّمَاءِ. You want treasures? Everyone wants treasures. Money. Money speaks a lot, isn't it? Treasures of the sky. You want to pull the treasures of the sky? You want to accumulate your bank account in the sky for akhirah? This is your Quran. عَلَيْكَ بِتِلَاوَةِ الْقُرْآنِ. Rasulullah didn't say عَلَيْكَ بِفَهْمِ الْقُرْآنِ. Did he say? You have to understand the Quran. Tilawatil Quran. Yatluna kitab Allah. Recitation, reading of the Quran. Understanding is not necessary always. Understood? Understanding is bonus. Bonus. But citation is emphasized. This is what I want everyone to understand. This hadith is in Ibn Hibban. Next hadith. Jabir radiallahu anhu, one of the close companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال القرآن شافع مشفع وماحل مصدق من جعله أمامه قاده إلى الجنة ومن جعله خلف ظهره ساقه إلى النار رواه ابن حبان في صحيحه. The meaning of which is the Quran intercedes. You understand what intercession is? When a child wants a PlayStation, what does he do? He goes to dad. He goes to dad. He doesn't go to dad. He goes to who? He goes to mom. Why? Dad, what's he gonna do? He's gonna discipline the child, isn't he? You want PlayStation? You want this? You want that? He knows what's gonna happen. He knows the reaction. He goes to the softer one. Mom. He knows if I tell mom, he's going to go to dad, and dad has a soft spot for mom, so therefore, I'll get my PlayStation through mom. When mom starts to speak to dad, automatically I'll get the PlayStation. Is that understood? Just an example. Just an example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most beloved, the whole universe, rahmatan lil alameen. Universe, whole universe is plural form, isn't it? Plural form. It's not in the singular form. Universe is everything that exists. The most beloved, Sayyidul Anbiya wal Mursaleen. Who? Muhammad. When you go through Muhammadur Rasulullah, this is why after the adhan, what do we read? Allahumma rabba hadhihi ad-da'wati at-tamma was-salati al-qa'ima ati Muhammadan al-wasilata wal-fadila. Maqam Mahmud, give him the high status, the praiseworthy status, praiseworthy station which you have reserved only for Rasulullah, only for Rasulullah, the best of the best. When you go through the best of the best, there's no way that your intercession will be rejected. This is this love that Allah has for Rasulullah. Same thing, the Quran. The one who makes himself Ahlul Quran, Allah guarantees Shafi'un wa Mushaffa'un. The Quran intercedes and its intercession is absolutely accepted. There's no way, absolute certainty. There's no way of rejection. It will make sure, it will make intercession until you are forgiven. Until you are forgiven, until you are in Jannah, He will pull you into Jannah. If you had that connection like this with the Quran. Subhanallah. Next hadith. Abu Umama al-Bahili, another companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول اقرأوا القرآن فإنه يأتي يوم القيامة شفيعا لأصحابه. Recite the Quran. Recite the Quran, for indeed on the day of judgment this Quran will come interceding for the person who recites the Quran. This Quran will come interceding for the person who recites the Quran. The next hadith we have in front of us, Sahl ibn Mu'adh عن أبيه رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من قرأ القرآن وعمل به ألبس والداه تاجا يوم القيامة ضوءه أحسن من ضوء الشمس في بيوت الدنيا فما ظنكم بالذي عمل بهذا رواه أبو داود صحيح الإسناد. Sahl ibn Sa'd رضي الله عنه says, Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, whoever recites the Quran makes amal upon the Quran. Whoever recites the Quran and makes amal upon the Quran. Here, recitation, of course, is referring to memorization. Okay? His parents, walidahu, mother and father. They're going to be given a crown. They're going to be given. Just recently, what did we have? The crowning of the king. Then King Charles. Yeah. Yeah. How many years is he going to last? Subhanallah. What are we fighting for? What is the grudges for? La ilaha. This crown, the shine of this crown that is given to the parents will be so powerful, it will be more powerful than the sun. How far is the sun? How far is the rays reaching us? We're crying and sweating with this sweat. La ilaha illallah, Allah protect us from the day of judgment. La ilaha illallah. The crown will have such a light coming out, such a noor coming out, powerful noor, more brighter than the sun. More brighter than the sun. And Rasulullah says, what do you think? To the Sahaba, what do you think of the person who makes amal on the Quran? What status does he have in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's ranks? This is the parents. Parents will be given, both parents, mother and father, walida, two. Both will be given this crown. What about the person himself, the Hafiz Sahib himself? Spends every night in Salah. This is the condition. Amila bil Quran is the condition. Imam Abu Hanifa, 40 years. This record cannot be beaten. Who is Abu Hanifa? We haven't understood. These Imams, sometimes people, they don't know who they're talking about. That's why they say what they say. Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam al-A'zam, the greatest of the great. What was his amal? He was known as the peg of the masjid, pillar of the masjid. From Isha to Fajr, he was like a pillar. The whole Quran. Whole Quran. And this for 40 years. 40 years of his life. Not one day. We can't even do one day. One day is impossible. Absolutely impossible. No way. No way. 40 years every single night of his life. Whole Quran. He prayed with the same wudu of Isha and Fajr. Same wudu of Isha that he made for Isha. Okay. Shows he never slept. Daytime, have a small nap. Allah give us the true understanding. Who these giants were. Inshallah, let's carry on. ما أذن الله لعبد في شيء أفضل من ركعتين يصليهما وإن البر ليذر على رأس العبد ما دام في صلاته وما تقرب العباد إلى الله مثل ما خرج منه يعني القرآن. حديث عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يجيء صاحب القرآن يوم القيامة فيقول القرآن يا ربي حله فيلبس تاج الكرامة ثم يقول يا ربي زده فيلبس حلة الكرامة ثم يقول يا ربي ارضى عنه فيرضى عنه فيقال له اقرأ وارتقي ويزداد بكل آية حسنة. This hadith is in Tirmidhi. The Hasan hadith, Sahih al-Isnad. Chain of narration. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrates this. On the day of judgment, the person who recites the Quran, come on the day of judgment, the Quran will say, the Quran will say, it come in the physical form. You know, in the qabr as well, it comes in a physical form in another hadith. Yeah, on the day of judgment, it'll come in a physical form. It'll say, "Oh, my Lord, oh, my Lord, give him something to wear." So he'll be given to wear a crown. This crown we talked about. Next one, give him more. Give him more. He'll be given garments of paradise. Then the Quran will say, oh Allah, become pleased with him. Become pleased with the person who recited the Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will become pleased with him. فَيُقَالُ لَهُ اقْرَأْ وَارْتَقِ. Will be said, recite and listen. Everyone knows Elon Musk. Rockets up to Mars. Make sense? Let's see the true rockets. The day of judgment, the true rockets will be the Huffaz al-Quran. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam says the difference between one verse between the earth and the sky. When he is told, Iqra, recite, from the beginning of the Quran, he'll start Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. He will be shooting up in front of everyone's eyes. The whole entire world, from Adam right until the last human being to come, will be on that same land. The Hafiz al-Quran will be told, Iqra, recite, and ascend. He'll be shooting up like a rocket. Not in Mars, the ranks of paradise. Over 6,000 ranks. Each verse, each rank. This is the time when everyone will become so jealous, so envious, unbelievably envious, that there will be no envy similar to each. You cannot compare any level of envy to that at that moment, at that status of the Hafiz al-Quran, when he starts ascending. Imagine each verse is the same as jumping from earth to the sky. And he's going to do this over 6,000 times. Imagine the level of jealousy. Ooh, you get jealous with small house here. He owns a 3-bedroom house with a garden and a small Toyota. Small Mercedes. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله